Hey, welcome to the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Your questions answered by the pros you trust, presented by Pro Exteriors. Today, we are embarking on another
Project Profile.
You'll get a chance to hear part one of my conversation with Brad Wazlavek, where he and I had a chance to talk about a project that he recently worked on for a customer in Greenwood, Delaware. So without further delay, here is part one of my conversation with Brad Wazlavek. This is the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Do you have questions about an upcoming exterior contracting project? We've got answers. Welcome to the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Brad, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I just told you off mic, so we're recording this on a Friday afternoon, and it's funny. It's like no matter how old I get that Friday afternoon, weekends almost here energy, and I enjoy the work we do. So it's not like I'm trying to escape from it, but it's nice to have a break, and so I'm feeling those jitters.
Yeah, and I know you're geographically not close, but it's been unbearably hot all week here in Delmarva, and today is like 65, no humidity. So believe me, I'm in the same mental headspace as you. I just kind of want to be outside sitting on the porch. Honestly, it's such a nice day.
So you guys had the hurricanes sort of skirt by you, right?
Yeah, we got some winds and some rain, but it wasn't too bad.
So we get a lot of tornadoes out here in northern Kentucky. Don't deal with too many hurricanes, but it has been crazy hot here as well up until about yesterday, and it is straight up beautiful outside too. So I'm with you on that. Well, so this is called a project profile episode, where essentially what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a project that you were a big part of. It was a real recent one, actually. Sometimes we'll go back and look at the archives, but this is one that was completed here in summer of 2025. Before I say anything else about it, I want us to take a look at an inspection video that you completed on one of your trips out to the job site. So before we go any farther, let's go ahead and take a look at that together.
All right, so the roof's a little wet. It's been drizzling all morning. Rained pretty good last night. I tried to get over here. It's very slick, so I'm not going to bother, risking my life or anything. But climbed up in here. The granules are real loose. When cougar paws on, I was still sliding. We'll kind of zoom in there. So that spot right there, right above where the current roof leak is. Obviously, some shingles have blown off and the nails are exposed. So given what I saw on the inside, there's no plywood damage, but it's definitely following the path of the nails and dripping down below. So we have that spot there. Right when I got up on the ladder, there's an exposed nail there. Looks like maybe somebody just popped one in there or worked its way through. But that's pretty rough. Overall condition of the roof, a lot of granule loss, a lot of exposed matting on the edges. And then if we just kind of get close to one of these shingles here, just grab an edge. There we go. And I mean, it's got some matting transfer. You can kind of see right there. But they're really not pliable anymore. They're pretty brittle. Lots of lichen and algae growth on there. If we come down here, obviously this is some sort of addition at some point. Current homeowner has only owned the house since January, and said that most of the stuff that was done in the house prior to that, he thinks that the homeowner did it himself. So I would have to tend to agree with that just because of the condition of that there. Also missed another shingle here. It looks relatively recent considering it's not wet. If we come down here, this corner is, I don't even want to step on it. If we come over here, obviously that was some sort of addition. That's the door below us. And then over here, I would have to guess that this gutter was dumping right on this corner for who knows how long. And then they added the downspout afterwards because it's just rotted out and full of what I'm guessing is Flex Seal because of the way it's sprayed on the edges. And then of course these replaced shingles here. Tried to wedge them in. This again was all done prior to this current homeowner. And he said that most of the interior work, it's been quite a challenge since they bought the house, trying to get it up to be livable. Coming up over here, obviously just sort of flex sealed these pipes. Got a couple more little missing dragon's teeth. Same thing up there. So he said State Farm came out. They denied the claim. He said that his wife called and they wished that they hadn't even called him. So I just noticed a couple more dragon's teeth missing here. I would have to guess that they took a look at it and said that there's been multiple repair attempts at this roof. However, I just think we're past the point of repairability now. Shingles are pretty brittle and yeah, just kind of past the point. So this is a little concerning just because of how close this is to this valley. But in all reality, we should be able to get ice and water around that and make it okay. Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I wish I never had to do it again, to 1 being I love it. How much do you love listening back to yourself?
Oh, it's 1 to 10. Can't go lower.
Oh no, 10 is 10 is I can't take
gotcha.
it.
Then I would definitely say this one goes to 11.
So you did radio a little bit back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like a job. It was part of the place I worked at last time. We did a lot of radio spots, and
okay,
I didn't mind it. I think like most people, I just don't like the sound of my own voice.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I don't know if that's some sort of weird genetic thing that we're all born with, but I'm not a fan. For me, it sounds nasally. And whenever I talk to somebody else, you're like, no, it doesn't sound nasally. That's how I hear it in my head. So
yeah.
That video is it's kind of fun. I know people, if you're watching, you can see obviously I have one hand, so trying to hold the phone and lift something is tricky. So if you watch closely in that video, you can see there's a piece of orange. It's literally this shirt sleeve here, holding over like I'm trying to hold it and wedge it. So that's always a super fun challenge to do that. But you learn to adapt when you've had this your whole life. Couple quick things on that video though that I want to touch on.
Okay.
When I first got up, normally I don't even get on a roof if it's wet. Like it's absolutely very dangerous. So this particular roof, I knew there was a much lower sloped area that I could stand on. So worst case scenario, I'm standing on a lower slope. Yeah. I can look at the sea. So it's a lot more safe. Still, do not do that. Like if you are not experienced with that, do not do that. I mentioned Cougar Paws. There are special boots that I wear that have a much better traction on an asphalt shingle. So again, don't go up there with your regular sneakers. Don't try and do that on, God forbid, flip-flops. Don't do that. So anyway, so I get up there and I started looking at these shingles, and if that roof was dry, that video would have been the exact same. The granules are so loose that when I started to walk on them with specialized footwear, it was still sliding under my foot. It's a very scary experience. And then when you come over to some of the homeowner special Flex Seal stuff, I just wanted to point out the current homeowner that we were able to help, he bought this house knowing it was going to be a project, and there was a lot of that type of stuff inside the house as well. He's really put a lot of effort in. So tip of the cap to him, because all the things he's done on the inside, I was blown away. You could still tell it was brand new, like drywall and fixtures and whatnot. I can't imagine what that house looked like before he bought it. And it's where it's positioned. He actually, one of the first things he told me, I probably passed that house 100 times and had no idea the house was even there, because the trees on the street were so overgrown that it looked like someone put them there for privacy for a house that was 400 yards back. So he trimmed all those up. Like, they've done a lot to make that house their own. And it's, again, just blew me away the amount of effort he put into that. So it's a really great guy to talk to too. It was only a month ago, and I've talked to him probably 10 times since. Like, he's just one of those people you just enjoy talking to, Yeah.
I mean, looking at the pictures in preparation for this, the property looks beautiful.
It really is. It's a big house too. That was probably a 5,000 square foot roof.
Really?
Close to it. Yeah. It's you're only seeing the back half. The front half is basically the same size. It's huge.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the front half, so if you can recall, what were the notes given to you when
good place to start?
Yeah, this guy called in or wrote in.
So like most people when they call in, and this is literally, I never fault a single person for saying this. We're looking for a repair, but we understand if it needs replacement. And that is a absolute human emotion. I get it.
Yep.
So when we go out there, I keep very open mind. I go out there thinking, all right, well, the conditions are going to dictate what we can do. It has nothing to do with my opinion, with the homeowner's opinion. Literally, whether or not the shingles can be replaced are going to be dictated by the shingles themselves, or whether they can be repaired, excuse me. So we went out and, I was going over some things with them saying, hey, why are we here is usually my first question. Like, what are we looking at? And that lets people kind of unload. So they tell me why they called to begin with.
Yeah.
So he takes me back to, I believe it was a back bedroom. It might have been the main bedroom, but I can't remember. Definitely a bedroom. We went back in there and there's a big spot on the ceiling. There you go. So it's relatively recent. They had gone away, I believe, on vacation and come back and seen this. So go back one photo before the measurements. So when you look at that, one of the first things I noticed is it's kind of all relatively the same color. Mm-hmm. It's also round. So usually when it's round, it means it's a drip. Usually when you have something that's seeping down a board, it's going to be more elongated. So that usually indicates something dripping. When it comes to a roof, I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a nail dripping down on that ceiling. So being all one color tells me it's probably not that old because it's going to dry, it's going to come back, it's going to dry, it's going to come back. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we probably have something that's a relatively recent issue.
Yeah.
So we look at that. I measure it. I measure it more for like future visits because if you didn't buy from us and we get called back, we would want to know that was there and how big it was to be able to compare. So I measure it, and then we head up into the attic space. One of the easier to access attic spaces I've been in a very long time.
It's a nice treat for you.
Exactly.
Especially in what? Was this beginning of summer-ish that you went out, or
this was
beginning of August?
It's probably beginning of August. Okay. Yes, it was not cool outside. It had just rained, so it was a little bit cooler than some of the days surrounding it. But you can hear me in the video. I'm wheezing because of the humidity. It's not because it's hot. It's just the air is so thick. It's hard to breathe. Yep. So, but his attic, it was a walk up with stairs. I mean, it was nice. So the area we're going there, I kind of wish I'd backed a photo out so I could get a good idea of it, but I had to walk on the rafters. So it was a little tricky to get back there. But as soon as I got up to the spot where I knew what was over the bedroom, it was very clear that the insulation was damp. Like you could see there you go. So the insulation obviously had water dripping on it, but then when I looked up at the plywood, there was no staining at all. So that is a little shocking. Normally when you see something that's got a good size drip into insulation, you're going to see like a black spot or some evidence. Mm-hmm. So that kind of was a little bit baffling, but I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe it's so recent that it literally hasn't had time to stain the plywood yet. Maybe it hasn't had time to rot, but I knew where it was. And I literally looked at that, and then you don't have a photo in here, which is probably good because it makes an awful mess when you peel that away. But I literally scooped all the way down to the plywood or to the drywall, excuse me. And then tested it with a moisture meter. It was sopping wet. So absolutely this was the spot. And it's also the same size. Like I kind of measured it off. And it's roughly the same size above as it is below. But that clear as day, all that insulation around it is nice and dry. And then this one kind of caked up, matted spot of water. Uh-huh. So that was a good indicator. I knew what that was. Obviously the homeowner had not been out there. So I showed him some pictures and told him where it was. And he tried to kind of take a step. And I was like, no, don't come out here. And like most people too, they don't realize that you're walking out onto wood. Like those trusses have a bottom plate to them, but there's so much blown in insulation that the average person would not know that there's a bottom plate. Uh-huh. So they assume you're going to be walking on top of their drywall, and they see me and I weigh about 250, and they're like, are you going to be in my living room in a minute? Like it's, so I usually tell them, look, I do this every day. There's a bottom plate down here. Trust me, I don't put my full weight down until I know I'm secure, but it's average homeowner wouldn't see that.
Yep.
So from there, I literally said, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop on your roof, get some photos from the ground, and then get up. And I usually tell people that because they're not expecting me to walk around the outside. But yeah, so I just start taking photos from the ground. I'm kind of looking for anything that stands out. Also, when we do this, when I'm thinking we may need to go to a roof replacement, I'm looking for obstructions. So like we want to be able to, kind of gauge where we're going to be, for equipment, for disposal, things like that. But so I walk right to the back corner. I look up there and I see, it's kind of hard to see in this photo, but I see a different color spot. And I'm like, that looks like a missing shingle to me. So again, right where I thought it was going to be, put the ladder up, hop up, and then I start shooting the video. And I say in the video too, there you go, that's the spot. So that shingle probably blew off, I'm going to say completely the night before, just because of how dry it is. Oh yeah. But when he was getting the leak, it most likely was like flapping. The nails were not even really discolored. They were a little bit rusted, which makes me think it was a relatively recent thing. That nail, probably 1.25 inches, but that nail will go literally from the top. You can see the head of it there, and it goes all the way through the plywood. So if you have exposed nails, any amount of rain can literally follow that path of that nail all the way through your roof.
That's crazy.
It does not take much. That's why when we point out, like in the video, I say when I got on the ladder, I saw a nail sticking out.
Yep.
Even though that shingle is still intact and I can see the nail head, that's still going to cause a leak. It's wild that one little nail, and there's probably 40,000 nails on that roof. Like there's a lot of nails on that roof, and that one nail that's exposed is going to cause problems. And there you go. So that's a perfect example. That one, now that I'm looking at there, it looks like it probably worked its way through the shingle. But it's again, it's exposed. You don't want that there.
Yep.
But so that's basically the long and short of it. It's he had an obvious problem. He had something where when I got on the roof, I knew exactly where it was, and then I started testing the shingles. A couple of times in the video, you can hear me say that the shingles are brittle, which is a big thing that we test for, and the exposed matting. When I went to the rake edge there, or not exposed matting, excuse me, matting transfer. Mm-hmm. So when you lift up on a shingle, if the glue brings some of the other shingle behind with it, like if I'm lifting the top shingle and it brings the bottom shingle with it, that means that it's not going to be just glue on both sides that can reseal. So you basically you're tearing the shingles, you're destroying the shingle. So we know it's past its prime. This picture here is I went back, I want to say 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, something like that. Afterwards, obviously it's much drier, sun shining, and this is when I presented to him because I had to kind of figure some things out offsite. Normally I try and quote when I'm in the driveway, but I had to figure some things out offsite. And then we came back, we talked about it, and he decided he wanted to buy. He talked to his wife on the phone. It's actually kind of a funny story because most people, when they pick colors, they want to be able to see the physical color. Mm-hmm. But he actually just sent her pictures on her phone from his phone. It took her like 2 seconds to pick the oyster gray, which it's a very pretty color. Yeah. And I joked with him, and I hope that if they both hear this, it doesn't get him in trouble. Sorry, but it's a funny story. I'm not at all throwing you under the bus. But I told him, I was like, oyster gray sometimes is hard to get seasonally. Because it's not a color that's like super, super fast manufactured, like a Weatherwood is kind of always made. So I was like, but good news is it looks so much like pewter gray that we could probably put pewter gray up there and she would never know. So we had a good laugh at that. They did get the oyster gray there. There was plenty of those available. But anyway, so he asked me, he's like, I'm really worried because it's going to be raining a lot in the next coming weeks. And I kind of looked at him and I was like, oh, don't worry about that. I'll take care of it. He's like, what do you mean? It took me 5 minutes to put that little patch up there. It's probably a 2-foot piece of tiger paw that I had in the van. Mm-hmm. Just nailed it down, and he's like, "Oh, am I good to go?" I was like, "Yeah, it'll last you not forever, but we'll be out there shortly enough to do the roof." And then I think we were out in less than 2 weeks, so he was good to go. He was very happy. There you go, great shot of the house. So all those trees were so overgrown you couldn't see that house. And when they bought the house, he really got after it with a chainsaw. Really, really just a cool project. They had a rescue dog. That I love animals in general. So I'm sitting there talking to him and his dog came. I was like, oh, I love dogs. And he told me, he's a rescue. He's real skittish. So I usually just put my hand down, let him sniff. He came up and sniffed me, but he wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. He was all about the homeowner. He was like his little shadow, to the point where we're sitting there talking, going over the project and the options and whatnot. And he had somebody come, I believe, for HVAC repair or something service. So he had to get up and leave, walk outside to talk to that guy. The dog wouldn't even sit with me. He just kept walking from door to door, wondering where his buddy was. And I'm calling him over. I'm like, come here, buddy. I'll play with you. I'll pet you. And he didn't care one bit. But he eventually did. Yeah, he laid at our feet, and I got to pet him a little bit. But it was cute, Yeah. Good stories. I love hearing good stories. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing this job is you meet so many different people. And when you have something where you can, very, very, very quickly fix their problem. Because he was, they just bought this house less than a year ago. And he was legitimately worried that the rain and everything that we've been getting lately was going to make sure his ceiling caved in. Right. So the fact that we could jump right on and get it, that was a huge plus. We actually got him through financing. He opted not to, but he had it as a backup. So he's like, look, I'm gonna try and take this out of my investment funds. But if I can't for some reason, at least I have this as a backup. So we had every box was checked. And the level of service that we were able to provide to him, it's one of those things like, hey, this is normal for us. Like we're happy that you are so blown away. Please tell your friends. But it's one of those things that like this is what we do every day. At least we try to, but it's this is why we do it.
Yeah.
You're really changing somebody's life, and this is going to be their forever home. And the amount of work that he's put into the inside, now the outside's good. He's essentially, that's a lifetime roof. He's never got to mess with that.
Yeah.
So he's very happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So often, I think we know this as a team at Pro Exteriors, but it's so often about, okay, what job is next? How do we get the products we need, the materials we need? Are we going to be able to do it in the time frame needed? But really, at the end of the day, it is those stories and those relationships that we build with the customers that I think keeps us coming back to work each morning.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take much in the heat of summer to get you guessing, you're second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, what am I doing with my life when at 9:30 in the morning I am like sweating through my clothes for the third time? It doesn't take much. So when you have something good happen in your life, and it kind of brings you back on the positive side of things. You stop getting so down in the dumps because literally just because of the weather. The weather does it all the time to me. There are full stretches of weeks where I'm like, what did I do this week? I've been so hot I can't even think. And then you get an attic and it's 120 degrees. It's rough. But again, it's you look for the good reasons to kind of brighten your day. And this definitely brightened my day. It's still brightening my day. We finished this roof a couple weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about how much we really changed someone's life.
Well, here in just a minute, I want to walk us through a couple of the pictures of the roof being replaced. But before we go there, I want to ask just a couple of follow-ups. So when you went back to present to the homeowner, you were initially called out because they were hoping to have a repair. How did you communicate the fact that was not going to be the best solution?
Generally, I honestly don't remember exactly what I did here because it's kind of second nature at this point.
Sure.
But we take a ton of photos. Obviously, we look through a bunch of them here. I don't think I played the video for him. Sometimes I have been known to play the video, but that one was a little bit on the longer side. So I think I just flipped through some photos, gave him my honest opinion. I'm one of those people that, at least I've been told this, and I do believe it about myself, that I'm genuine. So say what you want about anything else in me. Maybe some people I rub them the wrong way. I get it. My personality is a little different sometimes, but I will never lie to you. It's one of those things. I'm just going to cut straight to the point and tell you, this is what I saw. This is what we can do for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened here is I showed him some photos and he asked me, he's like, is this repairable? And I said, look, realistically, I think we're past the point of repair. Let me show you this. And then the tearing of a shingle, it's pretty easy to show somebody you can tear a shingle. Yeah. It's not something that, you don't have to put a lot of pressure into shingles when they get old to tear them. And so what I describe to them is like, look, you obviously have a very clear cut, 1-2 nails, whatever, dripping through the roof. If this roof was pliable, we put a new shingle in there, you're good to go. However, to do that, and the part of the video that I really liked, that I kind of glazed right over, that little gutter section that you see, there's a couple of shingles that are like wedged in there and they look off because they're too long. Mm-hmm. If you're not a roofer, you don't understand that one shingle touches the 2 shingles above it. So when it goes in, that guy, basically whoever put that in, the previous homeowner, I think, he lifted the one shingle, wedged a new shingle in there, but you need to get the next row as well. So that's why it was hanging out so far. So usually when you tell people is, look, I can replace one shingle if the shingles are good enough to replace or to repair, but I have to pop the 2 above it, which means they have to be flexible enough to survive. And what you end up with is like ripples in a pond. So I have one shingle I can replace, but I have to disturb at least the 2 above it. Most likely they're going to be staggered. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 shingles around it. And if they're tearing just from minimal pressure, they're absolutely going to destroy. So to repair or replace, that's the key. That's the key deciding factor.
Okay.
Be a little long-winded here because it's been a long day, but typically I tell people like, look, I can repair this if it was repairable. Here's why it's not repairable. And that's what I did here. I'm fairly certain that's what I did here. And he got that. He totally understood it. And I said, look, this roof's over 20 years old. So it was kind of a coin toss anyway. And he immediately was like, I'm dreading this, like, because cost-wise, obviously it's vastly different to repair to replace.
Sure.
One more thing too that I just remember popped in my head that we didn't discuss. When we do our digital measurements, it's from a satellite or a low-flying aircraft. It's not somebody literally going out to measure the roof and then sending us what they measure, because that just wouldn't be efficient. This particular house, that addition that you see me walk around, that has like the flex seal, the digital measurements said that was I believe it said it was a 112 pitch or a 012 pitch. I think it said it was a 112 pitch. Now, I've been doing this a while now, so when I walk on something, I can tell that it's too low. So it set off alarm bells in my head. So before I even presented, right there, we're above the door.
Mm-hmm.
It set off alarm bells in my head, seeing that was too low for shingles. Because you may not know, anything below a 212 pitch, you can't put asphalt shingles on it. So when I see that, I'm like, before we even get into anything, I'm going to pop a ladder up real quick. I'm going to test the pitch of this roof. And he's like, oh, why? And I explained to him, I said, look, if this roof is below a 212, then we have to use flat roofing material. We typically use like a rubber membrane. It's called EPDM.
Mm-hmm.
That is not an inexpensive thing to do. So I said, look, I don't think it's low enough. I think that it's above a 212. And then when I put the pitch finder on it, it was 212. So I was like, so we're good. But it was that if I'd have just paid attention to the digital measurements, that all would have had to be EPDM black rubber membrane, which not only from that angle, that's me just standing on the grass. You definitely would have been able to see it.
Yeah.
And I think visually it wouldn't have looked good. But B, if we'd have gone to a black rubber membrane, it would have driven the cost way, way, way up. Because it's not a small area. But being that it was a 212 or above, you can put that in and still adhere to building code regulations. And we just did a double layer of underlayment over it, which is totally acceptable. And then we got the whole thing shingled, so it all looks continuous. It looks like it's always been there.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the video that this house had at least one addition put on it, and you can kind of tell from the roof as it was when you first went out, it had kind of been piecemealed together over the years, right? And then little sections had been repaired, and so the transformation is pretty significant when we get to the end of the slide deck here. All right, that is all we have for you for part 1 of this episode. Be sure to come back for part 2 next Friday. But hey, would you please continue to help us get the word out about the show? The best way to do that is to leave reviews on Apple Podcasts, follow us on social media, or simply tell a friend. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Before we go, we want to hear from you. What are the questions you have related to exterior home remodeling? Would you please send those questions to info@askproexteriors.com and place "You Ask" in the subject. If you are facing an upcoming home project, we hope this episode has empowered you to tackle it with confidence. Remember, knowledge is power, and a little bit of research can go a long way. Until next time, happy homeowning. The You Ask the Pros Answer podcast is produced in-house by the Pro Exteriors team. Pro Exteriors is the exterior contracting division of Empire Construction Group, LLC. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. For more answers to your questions, please subscribe to this channel and podcast so you'll never miss an episode. Do you have an upcoming home remodeling project? Find more answers to your questions at askproexteriors.com. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Would you please help us out by hitting that subscribe button? That would be awesome. Also, if you never want to miss another one of our uploads, please be sure to hit that notification bell. All right, thanks. See ya.